Good morning. Happy Tuesday, December 15th. So today it's going to be a develop day. So we are going to kind of use what we used on Monday on our Explore lesson to really develop strategies for subtracting decimals in tenths and hundredths place value. So it's very similar to how you subtract in whole numbers, but we're going to apply it to decimals. So today your materials, I would suggest you getting your workbook. It's a great space where you can to show your work and then be able to plug your answers into the Edpuzzle. If you don't have your workbook, I will be posting all the questions so you can solve them on a whiteboard with a dry erase marker. But I highly, highly recommend you getting your workbook. So if you need to pause the Edpuzzle right now, go grab your workbook and a pencil and let's get going. All right, for your warm-up today, so this is a good spot. You could turn to any page in your workbook or get a piece of paper or your whiteboard. I want you to use any strategy to find the difference. Remember the vocabulary word difference means to subtract. So that's a fancy word that OST, Map Test, or iReady is probably going to use is the word difference and not the word subtract sometimes. All right, your problem is 13.4 minus 1.27. Find the difference. Okay, for our try it problem, I want you to turn to your workbook in volume 1 on page 215. So take a second, page 215. Before we ever try to solve a try it problem, we do need to make sense of it. So I'm going to read it 3 times today to make sure that we understand. Please make sure that you fill out the questions. I have put them on the slide. Those are our 3 make sense of the problem questions that we need to be able to answer after we read our problem 3 times. This is on page 215. Follow along with me so you are ready to answer the make sense of the problem questions. Galen can reach up to a height of 1/8700 meters while standing flat on the ground. His father can reach a height of 2/5600 meters. How much higher than Galen can Galen's father reach? All right, tell me what the problem is about. Remember, what the problem is about is who and what are they doing? Okay, second read. Galen can reach up to a height of 1/8700 meters while standing flat on the ground. His father can reach a height of 2/5600 meters. How much higher than Galen can Galen's father reach? All right, what are you trying to find out? Remember, find that question word and find the question mark. That is what you're trying to find out to solve this problem. Last and final read while we make sense of it. Galen can reach up to a height of 1/8700 meters while standing flat on the ground. His father can reach a height of 2/56 meters. How much higher than Galen can Galen's father reach? What information is important? So what do we need to be able to solve what we're trying to find out? Okay, take some time. This is on your workbook on 215, and I want you to solve this problem. Remember, we're using differences, so that might give you a clue on what you need to do with these 2 numbers. Enter your answer after you solve it here. All right, Miss McLemore is I'm going to model for you some subtracting decimal strategies here and give you some different ways that you can find the difference with decimals.
Okay, for me showing you how to do a couple of strategies on how we subtract decimals, remember from our Explore Day, subtracting decimals is very similar to subtracting whole numbers. Just like when we added decimals, there were strategies that you could use to add decimals as we did whole numbers. So one of the strategies that I feel that you are very comfortable with is by using place value. So I'm going to model using place value with this problem. This problem is actually on page 209 in your volume 1 workbook. So if you want to follow along, you totally can. But this problem says Marty eats 2 5/100 ounces of cheese from a 4 6/10 ounce block of cheddar cheese. How many ounces of cheddar cheese are left? So I started with the 4.6 and somebody ate 2 and 500. So when you are taking something away, that's when I know I need to subtract. When we do subtract, we must write our larger decimal first. If you write your smaller decimal first, then what could happen is then you're going to be moving into negative decimals, which do exist, but in this case, all of our decimals need to be positive. So this is where I need you to make sure that you're able to compare your decimals, which we have done prior, and we need to decide which one is larger. So 4.6 is my larger decimal minus 2 and 500ths. Even though the 5 is in the hundredths place value, remember when we compare decimals, you need to look at your first place value, which is your 4 and your 2, and you see that your ones place is larger in the 4.6 or 4 and 6/10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up by place value, just like if we were to add them. So I have my ones place value. You have your decimal, you have your tenths, and you have your hundredths. So understanding place value with your decimals is very important. So I see that my 4 goes here, my decimal, and my 6. I'm going to subtract. My 2 is in my ones place value. My decimal, I have 0/10 and I have 500ths. Just like when we added decimals, if you notice that there's a place value that doesn't have a digit, but there's a digit in the other number, we need to add, what numbers are placeholder? Yep, 0. I must add that 0 as a placeholder in our number system. So now I'm able to subtract, and I can think about this as the same as I would. This is the same exact as I would when I would subtract whole numbers. I see that the 0 and 5, I can't take 5 away from 0, so I must go to my other place value and borrow. You're borrowing a whole group of 10, so this becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 0 is 0. I bring down my decimal, very similar to what I would do if I was adding. And then 4 minus 2 is 2. So, therefore, Miss McLemore, this is why I need you guys in person. You would say, Miss McLemore, you're wrong. Yep, 5 and 0 is 5. I apologize. Yes, that's where you guys need to correct me. Is ounces. I told you having math confidence is okay because you know what? I have math confidence and I know I still make mistakes. And that's okay. So I am left, Marty is left with 2 and 5,500 ounces of cheese. This does not need to be here. So my answer is this. All right. So place value is one strategy that I could use. Another strategy is thinking about using a bar model. Now, a bar model is like having a picture of it. So you think to yourself, he started his whole block of cheese was 4 and 6/10 ounces. Now, Marty only ate a part of the cheese, which was 2 and 500ths. Now, there's this missing part, right? There's a missing part because remember, 2 parts make a whole. So my whole was 4.6. This is a part and this is a part. I don't know this part. This is where we can have the relationship between addition and subtraction. So if I wrote this as a subtraction equation, it would be 4.6 minus my part, and that's going to equal that other missing part. But I can also think of this as an addition equation. where I have this one part, right? I have 2.05 plus this other random part that I don't know equals 4 6/10. So here, this is an addition sentence, which is it's related to my subtraction problem. This is a bar model where you have a whole, a part, and a part. And that's kind of having a picture model of what subtraction looks like, but also how subtraction and addition is related, how they're related. You will have to know this. This is one of our problems today, is understanding the subtraction problem and what addition problem would help you solve it. So it's just kind of a mindful thing. I'm not saying that this is a strategy that I would, sometimes admit work for you. I also think the place value is a perfect strategy that I think a lot of you are very familiar with. Just remember, always check your work like Miss McLemore needed to check her work. But also remember if you don't have a digit in one of the place values, you must add that placeholder. All right, now on to your apply it problems and good luck practicing.
Great. Now that I've given you some strategies, let's try to use some of those strategies here and apply it. On your apply it, this is a great time that you can turn to your workbook page on 218. And there are going to be a couple problems that I want you to solve. Now you can solve them in your workbook and then enter the answers, or you can write them on paper or a whiteboard and then enter your answers. Do your best. This is you applying what you learned from the Explore Day and the Develop Day. I will read all the problems. At a swim meet, Quinn's time for the 50-meter freestyle event was 39.3 seconds. His sisters, Darby, swam the same event in 38.85 seconds. How much faster did Darby swim 50 meters than Quinn? Solve your problem on your paper and enter your answer here. Your next apply it problem is problem 7 on page 218. Tamika has 2 guinea pigs for pets. Smokey weighs 39 7/3 ounces, and Tito weighs 42 2/5 ounces. How much more does Tito weigh than Smokey? Solve your problem in your workbook or your piece of paper or whiteboard and enter your answer here. All right, this is problem 8. This is a multiple choice, so after I read it, it's going to pop up. Which equation can you use to find 55 1500 minus 47 2900? So this is where you have to think about what is the opposite of subtraction. Yep, you're right, it's addition. So which addition problem will help us solve this subtraction problem? All right, if you want to turn, this is another apply it, but this problem is on page 220. I'm in the practice pages, and it is problem 3. So if you would like a workspace, this is a great place to show your work, and then you're going to enter it here. A pitcher has 17 6/10 fluid ounces of iced tea in it. Aaron pours 12.600 fluid ounces of tea into a glass to drink. How many fluid ounces of tea remains in the pitcher? All right, solve your problem on your paper or in your workbook, and then enter your answer here. Nice work. That's all I got for you today. We will be playing a game tomorrow. Come ready to the live lesson so that we can continue to practice subtracting decimals and kind of wrap up our lessons and our weeks about adding and subtracting decimals.